Peace, everyone. Welcome to episode 12 of Get Buckets with Coach Gus Gauntlett and friends. I'm joined by a very esteemed coach with a long career in coaching, making different stops along the way. This is Coach Shawn Hook, also a PE educator at my alma mater, Homestead High School. Shawn, how are you? Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me. This is exciting.
Absolutely. Really love having you on the show. And last week I had Coach Matt Wright at Homestead High School. And then to see you now, it was great to have you, following him because he spoke a lot, both on camera and off camera, about the impact that you had on his coaching career in a really positive way. So I'm happy to, have the mentor the following episode.
Yeah, no, it's Matt is an awesome person and a very, very good coach.
No doubt. And it's funny, he said his background was football, moving into basketball. I know you also have a football and a basketball coaching resume with 20 years, coaching basketball. You also have some football coaching at Homestead. Did you coach any football before Homestead as well?
I did. I was a grad assistant at Chico State. I was a head coach at two places up there near Chico, Hamilton City, in a small town called Biggs. And then probably the most exciting and best coaching I did, I was very fortunate to go back to Ukiah High, where I graduated from, and I coached 2 seasons with my father, who was the head football coach there for 15, 20 years. And
Wow.
It was exciting and it was great. It was a lot of fun to be around him. He's my greatest mentor.
Beautiful. I love, you're like the third or fourth guest on this show who has a father who was also a coach. I had Wade Nakamura, who coached the women at Homestead, and his father, Gene Nakamura, incredibly famous in the El Cerrito, Berkeley area. And I love hearing those family stories. I know you got the opportunity to coach your son at Valley Christian, and who knows, 10, 20 years from now, maybe he's saying that same story about you.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. All right. Well, the show is real straightforward. We're going to get right into it. Each of us will share a play. I see you got a beautiful whiteboard behind you. The floor is yours, and let's see what you got.
So this is probably one of my more favorite plays. How are we doing? We see it okay?
Yep. Maybe yep, that's perfect right there.
Yeah. So I really like the motion offense of basketball. I like running motion. I think it's good. I think it's hard to scout. But throughout my career in going to clinics, I've learned that you have to have some set plays that you can count on and that you run for your best players. This is called Rebel. We actually the first time we beat Palo Alto, which was a long-standing dominant in our league. We ran this play at the end of the game for it. What I really like about it is it gives you an inside-outside look. Okay, so the one here hits the 2 and sets an on-ball screen. As that's happening, the 3, this is all fake motion. The 3 curls around the 4 and comes back out. As this happens, 5 is starting to leak out. Okay, 2 comes off this ball screen and looks to attack. If you get that early, that really sets up the next part of it. If 4's man's cheating, you can look at the duck in on 4 up here. Okay, but the main action coming off this is what you want to be able to get is as 2 comes off this, if he doesn't attack it, 2 wants to come off, take a hard dribble and kind of reverse dribble back. 5 sets an on or off ball screen on 1 flares out, and 5 dives. And what we got against Palo Alto was the 5-man was here and didn't know where to go. We had a great point guard named Colin Spence that we actually wanted to go inside to our big, but the 5 jumped out here to defend this, and then he retreated, and it gives you a nice look at a 3. And there's a bunch of things you can do off of this. We try to come off the ball screen and really attack it early on so they forget about all this here. If you've got a big 4 or a strong 4 that can position here, there's no help here. If the 5 were to help, there's no help there. It really puts a lot of pressure on the defense. But it starts with a great on-ball screen right there. The one's got to be able to be physical. He's got to go down there and set a good screen. And the two, once, these are just basic things. But when two's here and he catches the ball, the first thing he does is just gives a good rip to the baseline. It really sets the man up for the on-ball screen. And it's like anything else. You just have to execute it. What we've done over the years is run it against multiple defenses and really tried to put the pressure on the kids, because we like to run this at the end of a game. There wasn't too many times that we were stopped with it. And like I said before, it doesn't eliminate you to one shot. It gives you a good outside shot and it gives you a good inside look.
Love it. Love it. That was me. One of my first pieces of positive feedback for was I like plays that are going to give you a good multiple options of a look between a 3-ball and a 2-ball. A lot of plays, of course, the situation is often dependent. If you're down 1, maybe you don't go for the 3, but at the same time, an open shot is an open shot. And if it's open, then you take it. Right. I love that. And I also like that, just the initial action of just that pass and screen. If the 2 is an elite player or maybe has a mismatch on the defender and they can attack with a good screen from the 1, then you get a bucket the old-fashioned way, just playing some good, pick and go.
Yeah, and like you said, Gus, if you really attack this and you come off that well, you really put a lot of pressure on the 4. And if you got a 4 that can knock down a 5-10 foot shot, you're going to get that a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how did you learn that play? What's the history of that play? Do you remember when it came across your playbook?
I do. I can honestly say I've never really reinvented the wheel. A good buddy of mine and a really, really good coach who helped me. I met him at Lynbrook and we coached there, and then he bailed me out a couple of times at Homestead. Darren Garcia.
Okay.
Yeah, who taught me this play.
I love it. Yeah. And I love hearing the story about beating Palo Alto. I know during my time there from 2000 or 98 to 2002, definitely Palo Alto was one of the revered programs in the area, and I can't remember if we ever played them, but I know that they were always really solid in the upper division down in that area.
They for a long time they dominated the Ansley, but as and me and Matt talked about what a good point guard you were. You'll remember things. I can, as we speak right now, I can see Colin in the corner looking to go into our big, and the big dropped off of him, and he knocks down a 3, and we beat him by 1.
Love it. No, yeah, not many feelings better as a coach to see that perfect end of the game play happen as you want it.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, I'll definitely put Rebel in my playbook, and I know you said it's Danny Garcia, correct? Was that
Darren Garcia. Yeah, his daughter's a phenomenal player. She just accepted a scholarship to Cal Poly. Yeah, beautiful. She's a senior this year. So, yeah, he's a good guy, good coach.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to get right into it. This is, any coach that has studied the great Greg Popovich and the Spurs.
Love him.
Which is a great place to start for any coach.
Absolutely.
They're going to know about the Spurs hammer action. And I was inspired to share this because I think any coach watching this, if they don't know about it, should definitely know the Spurs hammer action. I mean, YouTube is full of video clips of it. And as I was, just drawing the X's and O's of it after watching a video, I wanted to add a little wrinkle at the end, which I hadn't seen the Spurs do, at least in the videos. They may have done it elsewhere. So I'm just going to add a little something to it at the end. And I love big on big screens. That's kind of the motivation for this. So, your basic hammer action, there we go, is you got your 1 up top. You got your, say you're starting a 3 here, probably 4 here, 2 coming up, and a 5 here. Got the 1. Oh, sorry. First off, actually, it's the down screen. So 3 is going to flare out here off that screen. 1's going to enter it into the 3 here. Really, really important small detail that just can often make or break the play in terms of the 3's ability to beat their defender to the baseline is once that 3 catches that ball, it's just in with momentum, just ripping through and attacking that baseline. So as 3 gets the ball here, they're attacking baseline. And then simultaneously, you got 5 setting that screen here for 2 to come down. And at the high school level, in the NBA, this is a difficult pass. That
Sure.
20-foot baseline pass is tough.
Right.
I love watching the Spurs do it with Ginobili with his left hand because he just whips that on the baseline, perfect
Yep.
pass every time. So I love the general hammer of just making this pass from if it's there, from the 3 to the 2
Yep.
here, if you need a 3 ball. And of course, if the 3 is driving baseline and can beat their man on the baseline and you have an open layup, you score the ball. What I want to add to it as a potential other option, and of course the 4, after they set that screen, they may dive back down to the post here when the 3 is coming here on baseline. But the action that I want to see and want to really experiment with to see if it works in terms of timing is by the time that 3 is here, is coming down here, your 4 has set that screen, your 5 has set that screen. I would love to see one more big on big screen to try to get something in the middle in terms of a dump off. So it's the
Definitely.
4, really immediately after setting that screen for the 3, shooting
Uh-huh.
across, setting the screen across for that 5 to come and dive. And so maybe you run this play a couple times throughout the game, and you're consistently throwing that baseline pass, or the 3 is taking the shot. And maybe after a while, some of these bigs get a little disoriented over here trying to work out this 5 and 2 screen. So when that 4 sets that screen across the 5 and it dumps down, maybe that 3 is just dropping that no look to the 5 right here at the cup. So that's really the
I
only
love it. And
additional modification.
yeah, and what you said about the 4s and 5s, trying to run out there, that the coach is going to yell at them, get out there, defend that. And the moment they fall asleep and yelled at, they're going to go. That's going to open wide up. That's a nice play. Really nice.
Thank you so much. And I mean, obviously, shouts to Popovich and his staff of brilliant geniuses over there.
Yeah. I mean,
in
they're the best there is.
Yeah, 100%. In your experience, have you seen at the high school level, have you seen many high school teams run something similar to hammer, or something that challenges the ball handler to make this baseline pass? Have you seen that a lot at the high school level?
Gus, for the longest time at Homestead, we would make CCS and we would get to the semifinals. And one year when we had a really good team, we were playing to go to the finals. And it always came down to us playing Bellarmine, us playing Sarah. We never ran into St. Francis. I don't know if they're, as large a school as Homestead. And it was just different. And the thing that always stood out to me was the way they passed the ball. Other than having, we would have 1 or 2 kids. They'd have 4 or 5 kids. And that growing up here, the privates, that's it. Other than, Homestead drifting away a little bit from sports, that's why I wanted my 2 sons to go to Valley Christian, to experience. And so coaching in that league, with the middies and the, St. Francis and Bellarmine and Sarah, that pass is being made, and they make it not as well, obviously, as the college kids or the pros, because they're just not as big and as strong yet. But on an average, they're bigger and stronger than the kids you get most of the time at the public schools. Not always. We've had teams that have competed with them, and I just think the rules are a little bit different at the privates. You can have a class where it's a basketball practice, so they're getting more of it. But being in that league for the past 3 years, I've seen that pass, and Valley kind of runs something similar to what you just drew up, and it's good stuff and it works. But that baseline pass, like you said, with Ginobili being whipped, for whatever reason, and I'm still coaching and still love coaching. I'm still trying to figure that out. But that was the one thing in all those years that always stood out to me, is the way they passed the ball. But I love that. And yes, we have seen that action in that league.
Wow. That's great. Just insight and comparison. I mean, there's obviously so many differences between public and private school, but to see even like that pass be almost a representation of sometimes the separation between 2 teams is really critical. And I appreciate that knowledge.
Yeah. No, I love that play. I love the dump off at the end, and, getting that attack and then just lulling them to sleep. And then all of a sudden you got the big coming down for a, be nice dunk, or, just a good layup.
No doubt. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that feedback. To wrap up every episode, I always like to ask all the guests just one question about their journey. And so for you, you have so much experience, 20 years as a basketball coach at all these different levels. What do you feel, how have you kind of what's your evolution of a coach, or how do you feel you've evolved and changed as a coach, looking back at yourself 15, 20 years ago to where you are now at Valley Christian, just in terms of style or emphasis, or just how have you changed, do you feel?
That's a great question. And it's something that I love looking back on, because I don't feel like I have all the answers yet, and I'm still motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And as a student, as a kid, all I wanted to do was play football. That's all I ever wanted. And I had a chance to go to Montana State out of high school, and I ended up at a junior college trying to get something better. And my junior college football coach really wasn't motivated, really didn't give us what we needed. And so I've always told my players, I've always told myself, the day that I'm not motivated, the day that I don't get excited, I'll stop. I love to hunt. We just bought a ranch in Montana. I'll go up there and I'll just hunt. I would never want to cheat a kid. So I think early on, I was a little bit of maybe a hard-nosed type of person and didn't have a lot of empathy towards kids that didn't do the work. I think that's best fitted me over the years is realizing that you got to get to know your players. Not every player is the same. And if you're going to try and treat every player the same, you're going to lose kids. Some kids respond to getting their butt chewed out. Some kids respond to, an arm around them. I think the one thing that I haven't changed on is that, I believe in hard work. I believe in putting in the work out of the season, getting in shape, getting shots up, and I think all my life I've worked out. So working out alongside of them, putting in the work, I think they see it, they respect it. But I think the best thing for me is just trying to get to understand and know, and it's much easier on a basketball team because you're dealing with 12 kids instead of 40 to 45 kids. And not that football coaches don't work hard or basketball coaches don't. It's just you eliminate, a third of them. And so you get to know your players a little bit better in basketball. And I can say that because I've coached both. I would just say getting to understand them, trying to figure out what motivates them and know how to push their buttons. And I think as long as you care and they see that, then, you're going to be okay. You can be the best X and O guy in the world, but if your players know that you don't care, then they're not going to care either.
100%. Wow. Really appreciate that. And I mean, I've seen you coach a couple times, back when you were at Homestead actually. And I mean, yeah, your intensity is obvious, is very vibrant on that bench. And I could feel it just from the stand. So I think that your players know they're responding really well to it. And so I loved witnessing that.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Shawn, I appreciate having you on. I hope you enjoy the rest of your school year as an educator. And, we're all hopeful for a spring season, and whichever way it goes, it is what it is. I know you're going to keep, just bringing that positivity and that love to what you do. So thanks so much for being on Get Buckets, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Gus, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. And, I watched Matt's and I've watched some of the other episodes. This is awesome. Please continue to do it.
Definitely.
It's great for coaches and yourself. Thank you.
Yep. Have a great one.
You too.